Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the Man Cave Studios. All right, Hobby Zone has re-upped with me again. They took a hiatus for a little while from dealing with me for whatever reason. They went through a few changes internally, from what I understand, and they reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to start reviewing for us again, and really love what you do. And we want to send you some planes. And they said, here's some ones we want to send you. I'm like, well, I've had that MiG in the past. I don't have it anymore. And but I love to review it. They sent me a little red Ranger, FMS Ranger 1220, which I've already done the unbox and build on that. And they also sent a new Arrows Marlin. But this is the one we're going to look at right now. Now this is the Arrows twin MiG-29. It has a wingspan of 906 millimeters or 35.7 inches. She's 53.5 inches long, 1358 millimeters. Flying weight with the recommended battery is about 2,500 grams. Motor size is a brushless 2840 Outrunner with a KV of 2280. Has twin ESCs with a 5.5 5 amp BEC. It's got so 9-gram servos and so many, and then it's got two 13-gram servos. I believe those are for the elevators, I believe. Requires 6 channels. And the CG, in case I don't cover it in the maiden, is 95 to 110 from the leading edge root of the wing. Okay, always remember with the jet, specifically leading edge root. That's always where the wing touches the fuse, because usually jet wings are at an angle. 64 millimeter 12-bladed fans, and the recommended battery is a 3300 6S with at least a 35C discharge. I'll probably run this on a 4000 most of the time, just so you know. So it'll be slightly heavier than the recommended flying weight. Now the MiG is their show. In Russian, it's their show plane, and this particular livery. So, all right, let's get it out of the box now. I've already opened up just to see, make sure everything was in here. But let's go ahead and take it out. And just so you know, when I do the maiden, I will not be flying it with the ordnance, and I will not be flying it with the wing or with the pitot tube on the end. I say I won't do it with the ordnance. I may give a flight once I'm used to it with the ordnance. It has been a hot minute since I have flown an Arrows MiG-29. A nice manual that's not folded. Okay, now if you're thinking of buying this plane, Hobby Zone gives you some, I want to say I'm able to offer 5% off your order with my link. If you decide to buy this plane, pick up an extra nose cone. These are like the hardest things in the world to find once they're out. And so go ahead, they're like $12, $13, got a magnet in them. Go ahead and pick up another one. This MiG has a tendency to want to dip the nose down on landing, which makes for and that's why you leave that, make the pitot tube just for show. Don't fly with it. I'm just telling you, from my personal experience, don't fly with it, because that pitot tube will grab the grass, and it won't break, but it'll break the nose at where the hard plastic is in the nose cone. So if you don't have the pitot tube, you have a much greater chance of not damaging your nose cone. Now that pitot tube just screws right in. Nice hard brass fittings in there. Okay, so I opened part of this up, but I didn't cut everything. So, all right, now here we got the one wing. You always keep up your debris. And like I say in a lot of my videos, on these better done planes, these more professionally done, or nicer, reputable companies, their foam is just fabulous, absolutely fabulous. It's very, very dense. I'm just pulling the flap of the Aileron servo out of there. Also, there's also in here, don't forget, there's also another little wire in there that has, oh, no it doesn't, okay. Just pull those two out, okay, and they've wide, the light that's on the end there is wide into your flap, so you don't have to worry about a third connection there. But like I say, look at these, the finish on this foam is like, you can see the cells, but to look at it, it feels like metal. It really does. Okay, you've already got your servos in there, you just got to hook up your linkages. Now you do have a foam hinge These are both foam hinges, but they have laminate in there, so it's a good quality hinge. You got ball links there, and that would be the left wing, or you go by the pilot's perspective, that's the left wing there. And just remember that, and whenever you want to figure out your ordering parts, you know, right wing, left wing, put yourself in the pilot's seat, and that's how everything is designated, by the pilot's point of view when it comes to that kind of stuff. I was going to say, now you've got all kinds of missiles here in different areas, so make sure and they're white, so they blend in, so don't miss them. Don't miss your missiles, your ordnance. Okay, make sure you got both halves of your elevator or horizontal stabilizers and metal ball links, or ball links there, metal shaft. Now that screw that we're going to assemble this with is going to go right in that screw. Will go right in that little notch right in there and hold that in place. Alrighty, get our other wing here, our other wingy dingy. Again, great finish, very well done. Okay, thank you. Very well done. I think all you're going to have to glue on your vertical stabilizers, otherwise known as rudders, but other than that, everything else is screws into place. Very nice done. Very bright LEDs there. Now, here's an example. Right now, here's this little pocket. If you didn't pay attention, they got this white foam, well, blocking all that. Well, if you don't look at it, you think, well, it's just that. Down in there, though, hidden in there is all your screws. You just don't know how many times I have put a plane together. I'm thinking, where are the screws? Where are the screws? And sure enough, they were hidden. White foam hidden in a white pocket. It's called camo. Well, there's your pitot tube. You've got, 2mm hex drive, which is what I'm in my hand, is what you're going to need to put the entire plane together, minus the glue. You will need glue. Okay? So we'll put that cleverly disguised foam piece back in there. Pull our cardboard or our foam things over. Okay, keeping up with my debris, and I've already cut this off because I wanted to look. All right, now we've got the other half. Now we got the fuselage and more missiles. More missiles. Okay, the fuselage off for just a moment. Make sure there's nothing down there, nothing in there, and nothing in here. Okay. Look down at all the little nooks and crannies and crevices. Make sure you're not missing anything. And there again, rudder. Both halves your rudder. I think, I can't really see through there. There might be a carbon spar embedded in that, but I can't. Yes, there is. In fact, you can tell. See those fill marks? You can see it's going all the way down there. So that's a nice rigid, nice foam hinge with laminate in there. So very nice. Now we're going to be gluing this on, so all these areas they're going to be touching foam to foam. You want to either take sandpaper or blade or something and just kind of scuff that up wherever foam is going to be gluing to foam. But make sure we're going to be testing our servos first, because that would be a pain that took us to have to go out and swap out that servo later on, and it's already glued in. Okay, mainly because the wire is going to be disappeared. Now the servo would be easy to get to, but the wire wouldn't be. Same thing. We're going to scuff up our surfaces and attach that. All right, let's look at the main event. The main event. Okay. You can already see they've already done some of the prep work for you when it comes to mounting the stuff. Like this is going to mount here, okay? But see the white areas they didn't paint? Well, you still want to kind of scuff that up a little, give a little more area for the thing to adhere to, the glue to adhere. You're going to just attach all that. You're going to attach your servos for your rudder right here. Your elevator's already inside. Okay, there's your gear. Make sure you pull your wires out to attach to your wing. They're nice. These little pigtails, they lock in place. Remember, yellow to yellow, light to light, dark to dark is always the rule for that. Okay, now these, and if you're curious if you've got the earliest edition or the latest edition of this plane, the latest edition has hard plastic exhaust ports. Okay, the newer ones, the first run had real thin, flimsy plastic. These have been improved. And they look a little bit different. I'm wondering if they improved the exhaust. They look a little different than what I remember. That's all hard. It's all hard plastic there. All right, let's look inside. Got lights all over the place. Okay. Can't hold it at that angle. All right. Nice hatch. Got your pilot in there. He's looking at you. Got a little bit of instrumentation on the panel there. Now, you've got a really nice, obvious place. Got an EC5 connector. Everything's labeled for your convenience, and you got a nice shelf right there. My fingers, an obvious place that you're going to put your receiver. I'll be running an AR631 Spectrum receiver, and it's updated with AS3X Plus, and we'll run all that, and I'll run the antenna somewhere where I got good range. Got the Velcro already in there. And you're going to want to put your battery at 4,000 as far back up against that tray, or up against that foam block as you can. Got some pretty good cooling. There's a nice big spot right there that's going to give cooling up into your electronics, which is something they missed on the F-15. They didn't provide good cooling, but they got it for this one, so that's good. All righty, nice. Some of the best gear. Now I'm going to test this gear, and if this gear is like really, really soft, because some of them are kind of soft, I'm going to take, see that screw right there? Right there. I'll undo that screw, slide that piece out, and I'll put a little metal, like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch metal spacer or something in there to stiffen up that spring to where the travel's not quite so much. Because lots of times with these MiGs, the nose suspension is so soft that your nose will kind of sit down, and you almost have a down nose attitude when you're going to take off, which makes your rollout longer and has more of a tendency to strike that nose when landing. So if you'll stiffen up this spring a little, and then the springs in this, they're very stiff from what I remember, but I'll probably leave them alone. I'll just deal with the nose. And I remember my last MiG, I just put a little bit, took some of that sponginess by putting a little spacer in there of that nose gear, and that took care of that problem. Nice cooling for your ESCs back here. All righty, they're good to go. All right, the only thing I'm going to pause through in the assembly of this will be when I go to scuff up the surface to put the rudders on. I'll put them in, but then I'm going to glue them in place, but then we'll wait, and then we'll come back after that's all set. So, all righty, wait right there. Let's get all of our materials together and change camera views. We'll be right back. Okay. Before we attach this, remember I talked about I wanted to test these servos? Okay, well, just to get yourself a simple servo tester with a battery, okay? And I want to test these. I got to make sure they work, okay? Just look at that servo there. Okay, so I know it's worked. Go ahead and center it, okay? Come over here. Because once it's glued in place, it's going to be very hard. Okay, go ahead and center that one. All right, just a real quick step. What'd that take? 15 seconds? Okay, just a real quick and easy way. Make sure you're going to have a much better level of success. All right, now while we're here, okay, we got both halves of our vertical stabilizers. Go ahead and scuff these up a little bit. Okay. Painted part is going to be exposed. You're just dealing with the part where they've removed the paint already. Okay. All right. Set that one off the side. Okay. Go ahead. Scrub that up a little bit. Okay. Now, the white areas. See the white areas? And I'm actually going to go ahead, this painted area here, I'm going to go ahead and hit that with my knife because I know that's where it's going to be touching. Alrighty. So these are going to be going for the inside like this. Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead and hook that up. Now, remember, anytime you're hooking this kind of stuff up, probably can't really see it. Light to light, dark to dark. See the yellow on the other side there? The yellow? All right, let me turn this to where I can see it. Okay, see how it's that yellow there? And the yellow on the rudder servo? Make sure those two things line up. Okay, now that has a nice little satisfying feel when it kind of just mushes into place. You know it's there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead while I'm there. Got this angled towards me a little bit. Take my medium CA. Okay. I'm going to do the bottom of this side. Maybe. Get my glue to come out. Well, hold on. Okay. Oh, too much. Too much. Okay. Now, I'm going to make sure I tuck this back in there. Okay. Because you don't want that exposed. Can't see what I'm doing. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. It's just going to sit down in that spot just like that. Maybe. There we go. There we go. There. I'm just going to sit down there just pretty as you please, just like that. All right. Make sure that's all nice and tucked in there good. Okay. Going to hit that with my accelerator real quick. Maybe. Okay. Hit this side. Okay. All right. Now, that one's in there. I say we were going to take a break while that cured, but I forgot about I had that accelerator, which makes it pretty well instant. Now, this side I can see a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up my, remember, light to light, dark to dark. Pay attention to your polarity. If you don't, you're going to have problems. Okay. Okay. And then that has a little pocket for that to get up in there too. Okay. Go ahead and get my glue down in there. Okay. Set that in place there, maybe. That's how that goes. It's in there just like that. Okay. All right. Hit that with my accelerator. Okay. All right. And that's in there. Okay. Okay, we'll let that sit for just a little bit. We'll go ahead and carefully turn the model over. Okay. And pay attention to these elevators. Okay. Now, as you can see, back here, we're going to be doing these areas here. Okay. Make sure you're going to put the elevator in for the appropriate side. The connection is going to be on the underside. Okay. So, and this rolls. Okay. We're supposed to. Okay. Put that in there just like that. Oh, I didn't have my screws out. 2mm hex drive is all that you're going to need. As you can see, already got that in there, right? That just slides in there. Remember that when I was unboxing it? Remember that little channel right there? Well, that's what the end of this screw, the flat end of this screw, is going to be attaching to. Okay. Possibly. Yeah. And you should feel it when it hits the metal there. You should, okay. Actually, I don't feel it at all. That's good, actually. Okay. And then that is on there. That is, but it's free floating, but that's not coming off. Not coming off. Okay. Do the same thing to the other side. Alrighty, now when you're done, you should have both attached like that, and they should be free floating. Okay, now put the cap back on my glue. Don't need glue anymore. Okay, now you're going to take your wing spar. Okay, there's a hole right here on the side. You can't miss it. Big hole there. Slide your wing spar all the way through. Okay. Grab you. Go ahead and have two of those small, I want to say they're 8mm screws, machine screws. You get just enough for the kit. Have it ready to go. Okay. Grab the appropriate wing. Okay. You're going to want to get your wires. There's some wires up in here that need to come out. Okay. You're going to need to fish them out. So, pair of pliers or whatever you need to get. I forgot to do this. Sorry. Okay. Fish them out. Okay, that's your flap connection, and there should be one for aileron in there, but it looks like it's dug up in there. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's actually right there. So, okay. Well, this is just some of the things you have to do. Okay. I'm just glad I can see it in the wheel well there. So, and there it is. All right, the one that's flap is obviously for the flap. The one that's not labeled is your aileron. Okay, so let's go ahead, tilt this just a little bit so you can see what we're dealing with here. Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hook everything up first. The one that's labeled flap, going to obviously go to the flap. Remember, light to light, dark to dark. It's always the connection. Light to light, dark to dark. And the other one that's not labeled is your aileron. Light to light, dark to dark. Now, because this wing can easily screw on and off, I'm not too worried about testing the servos for that exact reason, because I can easily take it off and service the servos if need be. Okay, now, don't worry so much about these wires. You say, well, them wires are going to get hooked up around your gear. Don't worry about that, okay? We'll be able to pull them tight inside the fuselage. Go ahead and put your wing on the wing spar. Okay, I know I'm right up in your face at the end of that wing. Okay, fish all your wires into place. Make sure it fits nice and pretty. You do not want any, the camera's focusing on the end of the wing right now. You don't want any wires tucked or jammed or pinched. Okay, but there is room for them. Okay, there's room. Okay, get it nice and tight and nice and snug in there. Don't worry, I'll pull them through. Grab one of your screws. Okay. Get that in there like that. Now, don't go all the way down. See, it's worth hanging up a little bit, because if one or the other were not lining up, you could now use this one as a pivot point to push in on that one. So I'm going to hold this one with my thumb here. Like, hold it in, that way I know it lines up. I'm using one now. If this one didn't line up, I could use this one as a pivot point. For the purpose of this video, I'm just showing it's a little pro trick that I don't charge extra for. All right, now when you see that plastic area starting to dent in around it, you know you've gone deep enough. Okay, level out and start kind of, I mean, you can feel it, it's obvious. Okay. I mean, and that's all hard plastic around here. Oh, and just so you know, and interesting enough, that metal there, that screw, that's the CG point. So it's a very simple thing for you to feel. All right, we're going to repeat the same process for the other wing. So be right back. All right, now you've got both wings installed, okay? Both wings are installed. Now, let's change our camera position and we'll be right back. All righty, we're back. Now, as you can see, the plane is basically put together. I'm not hooking up my elevators yet until I buy in the airplane and install the radio. We'll go over all the radio installation, rates, CG, and all that stuff after the maiden. But for right now, let's go ahead and finish the easy parts of this build, which are the peripherals. Now here's the infamous pitot tube that loves to grab. Now that's a metal screw going into a metal housing. But like I said, it easily screws on and off, but you do what you want. But I'm saying don't fly with it. Okay, leave it for show. This is tongue and groove. It only fits on there a certain way, just like that. Turn the model back over, and let's put all of our ordnance on. Okay, and that way you can see how it looks. The bigger missiles go inside, and you work your way out. Okay, I think they're universal. They can go on either side. Okay. Okay. And see, I'm reaching across the model, installing these. So that just tells you how easy they'll be to take on and off at the field. Now there's, oh, I'm missing one. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, there you go. I just took one off, okay? And I will do a flight with the ordnance on. I'm just letting you know I will. Okay, now, the other thing I want to do, that I've noticed, and I remember this now. If you see in there, there's, all right, I lost video connection there, but we got all the missiles on. The only thing I wanted to show you was kind of made a little mistake there on that one wire. There's actually a nice little groove in there that you can tuck all your wires away in, and I kind of got some glue on there, but see, this is an example of what a good one looks like. And this one I got a little messy. But all you can do is take a little red paint or maybe a red masking tape or red electrical tape, and that'll cover that right up. Alrighty, we got our wings on, we got our ordnance on, we got our pitot tube on, and our nose cone on. It just sits in there. Like I say, please don't fly with that. Do what you want, but don't fly with the pitot tube. All right. Now, I did tell you, or I may have told you, because I've had my camera cut out a couple of times, I was going to go over rates and radio and all that stuff at the field after the maiden, but instead I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to do it on camera, I'm going to go install the radio, install everything, get it all bound up, and we'll come right back as part of this video and show you how she looks, all lit up and everything in her. Okay, we'll be right back, stay tuned. Alrighty, we're back. We got her all put together, got her bound up. Let's start off right off the bat with showing you how I got it inside. Now I've got a 4000 Sokokin all the way against that back wall, and then on that back wall I've got my AR-631 Spectrum receiver. I have the antenna routed underneath, okay, and running right along the side where the gear actually kind of glued in place. I don't know if you can kind of see it there, but it's right there, glued in that crease right there. I've already took it outside, took 100 feet down the road, stood 100 feet away, put it in range test, and she passed her range test with no problem whatsoever. Now that I've shown you where my radio is, or where my receiver is, and where my battery placement is, let's go ahead and show you that CG. All right, I like to check the CG with the flaps or the gear down and ready to roll. Okay, and slightly tail heavy on those metal screws that I showed you. But let's look at the CG real quick in the manual and just see if they may have changed the CG. If I remember right, that was a good spot for the CG. CG on this plane is 95 to 110 back, like I said, from the leading edge root. So let's just look at that. Go ahead and get my stand up here. Show you how I check for CG and how I get it. Okay. All right. We already know 110, 95 to 110. All right. So let's get around there. Take our caliper. Okay. And we're going to take our caliper and set it for 110. Okay. There, that's on 110. Okay, I'm going to take my Sharpie. 110 puts it right there, right behind. See, right there's that metal screw. 110 is right there, right behind it. So, 95. Put her at 95 here. And that puts it right there. So basically, right behind, or just in front, just behind that metal screw. To 110. All right. So, I'm going to actually write on here 95, 110. 95, 110. And what I like to do, I like to take hot glue and I make just a little bitty spot right on that black dot that I just made. You see? And then that way, I have something that I can feel when I'm trying to do CG. Doesn't hurt the plane any. Just a little, and you could always peel it off later on if you wanted to. Okay? Now let that dry for just a minute. All right, because I always have a tendency to check my CG after I've done that and then put my fingers right in that hot glue. So let me put my fingers outside of that so I'm not not burning my fingers. And look at that, I'm right in between the two, right between the 95 and the 110, and look at that, just about perfect. All right, now move our plane stand out of the way. And just so you know, this plane stand is something you can get off Amazon, but it has long since been discontinued, and so can't help you with that one. So anyways, all right, so now we've gone over our battery placement. We know we got our CG right, and we know we got our battery on that, and I showed you where my receiver is. Okay, now let's go over how the plane looks with the rates that I have chosen. Now, these rates are based upon my experience flying jets and also flying this plane before. Okay, I just remember how it feels. It's been a long time, but I want to just show you. This is now when I get to the field, they may have changed a few things in the mold of the plane or something. I don't know, but we're going to try it at my rates and then we'll go. But this just gives me a starting point, okay? Now, one thing I did do, I did make level, and everyone who has these videos recommends about 2 millimeters up elevator. So the very top of this elevator lines up with the bottom of that little structure there. Okay, lines up right there. So you want just a few millimeters of up elevator trim. Okay, on both sides, obviously. All right, just a few. Just a little bit, maybe 2 millimeters. All right. Talk about our flying rates. My high rates are 100% with 40% expo all the way around. Okay. Elevator, same thing. 100%, 40% expo. Now let me show you my mid rates. Okay, my mid rates are 90% with 40% expo on elevator and rudder, or elevator and ailerons. And then on rudder, I'm keeping the same. Rudder is going to stay the same, 100%, 40 or 50% expo. Okay, but my aileron and my elevator are all going to be 80 over 40, 90 over 40 for mid, high 100 with 40% expo. And my rudder, like I said, are going to be the same, 100%, but with 50% expo. All right, let's go ahead and go over flap settings. These are the flap settings based upon my experience with this plane. Okay, and I will tell you lots of times with this plane, I took off and takeoff flaps or landing flaps. All right, but I'm going to show you flaps up, 0%. Takeoff flaps, 50% with a 5% up elevator, not down elevator, but up elevator. Okay, and landing 100% with a 10% up elevator. Okay, so on the screen, it's going to show it as a negative, but actually it's up. Okay, and it's on a 2-second deployment. Kind of look at those elevators. They do change just an ever so much, and that's just based upon my memory of flying this plane in the past. All right, gear are incredibly fast, or incredibly stout on this plane, and my plane had a big boo-boo, and I didn't do this. Look inside there. Oh, get it turned here where you can see it. Look up in there. See all that damage up in there? This wheel, I guess in shipping or something, has smashed in, but it's not going to affect anything. Nothing's coming out, but that, I got glue strings everywhere. That gear, and the gear is fine. It's not loose or anything, but it's smashed up in there. So I might just put some glue or something, kind of cover that with some tape or something, but it ain't nothing going anywhere. So that just happened. I mean, it's just one of them things. I didn't do it. So, all right, we got to show you the race. Showed you the flaps, showed you the gear. Let's go over our forward programming. Like I said, I've got an AR631. Now, I could do a nose wheel gyro, but I would need another separate physical channel for that, and I don't have it. And this plane also does not have reverse thrust. I wish it did. If it did, then I would opt for an 8-channel Spectrum receiver and put the nose wheel gyro in and thrust reverse, but can't have everything. All right, AS3X settings, AS3X Plus settings, that is. The gains are one-time gains. The roll, on roll, pitch, and yaw, roll is 46, pitch is 48, and yaw is 54. These are just numbers I'm picking in my head based upon how the size of the control surface. Usually roll, which is your ailerons, I usually go at a little bit lower of a rate, but these are very small very small control surfaces, so I left that correction a little bit higher. Pitch, even though you think these are really big elevators, they really have to be big because they're so close in order to be effective. So I left the correction at 48% on that. And yaw, I always kind of leave yaw because those are small rudders. Even though there's 2 of them, they're small. So I left that at 54. Priorities on roll, pitch, and yaw, all at 100. That's just how I like to roll with my planes. I didn't do anything with heading. Stop lock, with my jets. Increased everything up to 50 on roll, pitch, and yaw. I didn't do anything with the release rate. I like the stop lock to be a nice crisp, where I can make nice crisp movements. Okay, gyros are at one-time gains on the gyro. No nose wheel gyro, and that's pretty much it. Okay, off camera, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a clear coat of my polyacrylic from Minwax. This is the brand. Okay, and it's water-based, so it's not going to hurt the paint at all. And I'm going to spray it everywhere. Keep in mind not to get into the hinges, especially the foam hinges. Just a light dusting. Just don't get it down into the hinges because it can gum up your hinges and actually break your hinge, so you don't want too much. But I'm going to give it a nice, one single good solid coat, paying attention to my canopy, so I don't get it on because I don't want it to cloud the canopy. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one screw out. Okay, I'm going to show me if I can show you on this side. Okay, yeah. Okay, see this screw right here? I'm going to take this screw. That should allow this gear here to pop out, and I'm going to put me a little metal spacer or something just to, because that is kind of loose and soft. I'm afraid that the nose is going to dip down too much. Okay, because I want you to look at something. Now, maybe they've improved it. I don't know. But when she's sitting there, you probably can't tell from your angle. When you start giving that gas, that nose is going to dip down a little bit, making your angle attack a little bit harder to achieve liftoff. Okay. Also, that means that when you land, look at how far down that nose is dipping. Okay. If you're in grass or whatever and you dip down like that, that pitot tube and that nose is going to grab that grass and that's going to rip that right off. But it's not going to, the cone will be fine. It'll rip off at the plastic part and then you'll have this stumped nose. I've done that more times than I can count with this plane in the past editions of them when I had them before. So I'm going to make this a little bit stiffer to where it actually sits up just a tad bit more and won't dip down as much by just putting a little piece of metal, just something in there to stop that spring. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. So anything, a piece of carbon fiber, a hardwood, anything that will stop that spring, just slide it down in there, it'll fit in that shaft. That's all I'm going to be doing. So, all right, about maybe ½ inch. So, anyways, I'll show you that at the field, and so you see how far it dips down now. Remember that whenever we go to show you the maiden, I'll show you that it shouldn't dip down nearly as much, but I still will not fly with that pitot tube. I'm going to keep that for decorations only. All right, well, Hobby Zone, thank you for sending this out. I know from experience that this is a great flying plane. I'll just let you know I keep my gains on the knob there. That way they're over-exaggerated if I turn them up, and if I turn them all the way down, basically, I turn them off. And then I just adjust my gains based upon how the wind is that day. But that's just how I like to roll. That's my experience. All right, well, Hobby Zone, thank you so much for sending this out for review. It is an absolutely beautiful, and I already know it's a great flying plane. Can't wait to get a maiden in. Please like and subscribe to the channel, all that good YouTube stuff. And there'll be a link to the description of this video, which will be a purchase link. And Hobby Zone has told me I'm going to be able to give you all 5% off your purchase. So you know, there'll be a link. They're going to be giving me the link. I don't have it yet, but you'll be able to take 5% off. And I don't know if that's going to be just the plane or the entire order, but try it and see. So, all righty, God bless y'all. God is good. Don't forget, folks, faith, family, and friends. God is good. It's right before Christmas of 25, so Merry Christmas. And y'all have a good, hug your family and fly your planes. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. And hug your friends, too. They need it, too. Bye.